Hey everybody, and welcome back to another exciting episode of Let's Play The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. In the last episode, we explored more of the Great Plateau and did another shrine, and fought some guardians for the first time. In this episode, we're going to discover more things. Here's a neat kind of weapon, which I'm going to call civilian weapons. The series of weapons is the pitchfork. A pitchfork is pretty good for this point of the game. It's 7 attack, which is really good for a spear at this point of the game. But overall, it's not that I'll pick up peppers. Yeah, we're gonna need those peppers for a recipe we're actually gonna be making right about now. The old man's diary. Read: on this desolate plateau, the only pleasure that brings me comfort is cooking. And today I outdid myself. Truly, I created the perfect dish. I call it spicy meat and seafood fry. I wonder what could be in that. The recipe is not only restores health, but also keeps me warm even when traveling in the snowy mountains. With this dish on my side, I no longer have need of that itchy, warm doublet. I do not know how I allowed this to happen, but it seems I forgot to write down a very important recipe. I know it contained raw meat and a spicy pepper. However, I simply cannot remember what else I used. My age is catching up to me. Sadly, on this lonely plateau, I have only my knowledge and memory to rely on. Still, if I did find someone who knew the missing ingredient, I would happily reward them with my warm doublet. However, it seems unlikely. So, that's what we gotta do. We gotta replicate his recipe. The spicy meat and seafood fry, which takes a spicy pepper, a fish, and a type of meat. You can either get these raw drumsticks I got, or you can get actual meat, which we'll be seeing later on. I gotta go and swap out axes for a new axe. Now, did I say this already? I might not have, but a neat thing you can do is you can find these mushrooms around the place, but that's not the thing I was talking about. So the woodcutter's axe is an okay weapon. It only does 3. It's a slow two-handed weapon. It's really only good for breaking open crates and chopping down trees, hence the woodcutter's axe. It's part of the civilian weapons range, I'm gonna say. Thinking on it now. So the first thing we want to do here is get our cooking on. Get pepper, get a fish, and get a drumstick, and then go to the pot and cook it. Now there's a small chance that you can actually get a better version of the recipe. The music plays differently, and we'll get into that later when that actually happens, but for now it's just standard fare. I do not want that to happen. So what we want to do, I'm actually going to use bombs for this part, because it's much more convenient to use your bombs than to use your thing, because you have infinite bombs for 1, and for 2, it's just easier to throw a bomb and then explode it right off the bat. You can actually throw that down, and sometimes the trees will drop acorns or korok leaves right here, and they kind of do the same thing as Wind Waker they did in there, which you can make a strong gust of wind with them. But we wanted to do that because this guy here, this old man, there's an arrow there. It's weird. Oh, that was probably from last time. But yeah, because he'll go back to his house, and then you can show him the recipe and get the warm doublet or doublet, whatever it's called. I started calling it doublet because that's what my friend Jack called it. So I was like, oh, I guess this was called. Oh, whatever. It doesn't really matter that much. It's always good to have a healthy supply of wood. You got 9, that's good enough. Because we will need a ton of wood later on in the game, but for now, it doesn't really matter that much how much wood we have. Just as long as we have some, just in case we need to light a fire or something. A thing also with this game is that you can sit by a fire and pass time. Talk to the old man. Ooh, fancy that. So we meet again. About a hard work. Cook something. What's that? And then you show him the spicy meat and seafood fry. And he realizes he forgot the Iro bass, and then he gives you the warm double. So then we can wear that. A thing about the Switch shirt, don't think I said before, is that it's a nice little Easter egg, but I don't personally use it because it kind of feels out of place for this game. I mean, sure, it looks alright, but I mean, overall, it's just kind of like a whatever. Actually, I think, yeah, if you hold in, you can actually rotate Link, which I didn't know for the longest time. I guess I didn't read the bottom, but whatever. I'm actually gonna make some foods. Let's start out with this, 2, and do this so we can climb a little bit faster. Yeah, that's 3 minutes of hasty elixir. Now that's how you make potions in this game. You don't buy like a heart potion from the store. Not store really, but you get what I'm saying. You don't buy it from the shop. You gotta make everything yourself, which I kind of like. It kind of adds a survival aspect to this game, and that's really why I most of the time just collect what I can see, like all the items I can see. We can go ahead and let's use up this. Ooh, shoot. Yeah, we can use this. There we go. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, throw a weapon at an enemy to get a critical hit. Which a critical hit does double damage, if I'm correct. Now, a neat thing you can do is if you don't wanna like climb a tree or anything, you can actually hit a tree a bunch of times, and you can actually make it like make the apples or whatever fall down. But it does waste your durability a lot of your thing, or you could just chop the tree down. Now, with any weapon that has an edge, you can actually chop down, but of course the most useful thing is going to be the axe. Now, the main reason I got the warm doublet is because we're going to be heading into a snowy area soon, and you can't actually survive in it without getting some without getting the thing, the cold item. Not a cold item, an item that doesn't have cold to it. If that makes sense. So if we could just make food with the spicy peppers, because they do they have cold resistance. That's what I'm trying to say. For the meantime, I'm gonna use this. This speeds up our climbing considerably, so we can just climb up this mountain really easily. And this will make us allow us to get to our third shrine. And that's the one thing. That's another thing I really like about this game, is that there are almost no limits to this game as far as how you can move around and where you can go in this world. There are almost no limits. Like, sure, every game has to have a limiting point, as it were, but overall, this game has few limiting points. Like, we'll get into some of the more annoying ones that people have grievances with that I don't really mind that much, but overall, this game is, for me, about as close to perfect as you can get. So this really isn't that hard to climb up, especially if you make some food item like I have. You can also make stamina recovery items that are good for this part of the game as well. The speed up just increases your swimming speed, increases your climbing speed, your running speed, anything that uses stamina. Really, I think we're gonna make it. Jump up. Okay, there you go. A neat thing with Link is that when he regains all his stamina, he does like a ha, you get ready for action. Here's our third and almost final shrine. There we go. Just go down, and we'll get our third rune. Now this shrine is a little interesting. It gives you a good weapon for a boss we're actually going to fight here in a little bit. But you only really need to use the rune twice in this, which, I mean, like, you still have to use it to get through it, but it's really more like it's like a whatever rune, And like, if you want to get if you're not that good at the game, you will use it more than twice in this area, but it's whatever. See, I don't really use this rune that much, stasis, but it does have its uses in some places, and later on you can actually get an upgrade to this where you can actually freeze enemies for a little while. You can also unfreeze with by hitting it again. If you're quick, you can just run past it. Do the same thing again. Don't even have to worry about using stasis on that. Ah, and here's the traveler's shield. Oh, crap. Shield. Now, right here, right now we don't have really that many inventory places for our weapons, so we're kind of having to pick and choose. But later on, we can actually get some more better weapons if you want to do that sort of thing. And this weapon here is going to be really useful for us for the boss that's coming up soon. Now, for this, you don't even necessarily have to use a weapon if you don't want to. You can use bombs. That's another nice thing about stasis, is you can use anything that gives it connect. Well, I guess you can't use bombs. I'll wait for it to recharge. Yeah, you don't have to hit it that much. You just have to hit it enough to get the ball rolling. But I thought you could use bombs there. Normally you can use bombs, but You can't control the angle of where it's gonna go that well with bombs. And there's our third orb. Where did we take damage? I don't even remember where we took damage. Oh well. Ooh. Now he has another weapon of the Traveler's arsenal. The Traveler's... oh crap. Traveler's Spear. That's a pretty good weapon for this part of the game. Much better than the Boko Spear. Another thing about these Stalbo Goblins is that you gotta kill the heads of however many show up. We're gonna need more than that. Now every weapon has a different amount of durability, so you're gonna want to watch out for that. So whenever you like a Boko Spear isn't gonna have as much durability as a Traveler Sword, or like a Rusty Sword isn't gonna have as much durability as a normal sword. For instance, just look out over all the scenery. You can see a ton of you can see like half of the towers from here. Wow. Anyway, this is really our kind of first taste of the background music in this game, which is the snow music, which is interesting. So here's a neat thing we can do. So if we stand right about here, I'd say. Another thing you can do with these stall enemies is you can just shoot them with one arrow. Here, let's get higher ground. I have the high ground. Come on. There we go. When you play it right, it didn't work. If you do it right, the chest actually comes all the way down here. It comes actually straight towards you. You can get some nice arrows out of that. That's kind of one thing I will say about the music in this game, that honestly there's not a huge amount. But I don't know, like, it kind of adds a layer of realism to it, because honestly, we're in real life, are you gonna have like a track playing behind you at all times? I mean, aside from having your phone playing. So we're gonna try something right now, right here, right now. See, we can. So if you look at the meters in the bottom right corner, you got your mini map, your temperature, and your stealth meter, which is how much noise you're making, and also your weather and time meter, or time gauge. And here I'm just doing some sneak attacks, and this is a good way to take out enemies you don't really want to worry about. Sneak strikes. And if depending on the level of enemy and depending on the depending on your weapon, it depends on how much damage it does. So when you say you use a Traveler's Sword on like a really high level enemy, it's not going to do as much as like a Soldier's Broadsword, for instance, on a higher level enemy. Now, what is this for? That's odd. Occasionally you'll see rocks around the place. Huh. Interesting. On this water down here, we're not going to want to get anywhere near because it's cold. It's ice cold. So if we get near it, then if we get in it rather, then we're going to end up freezing to death. Literally. That, by the way, is the amiibo rune that you can use to summon items from different amiibo. You can actually get Epona from the Link amiibo for Smash Bros, I think. Of course, I don't have a Link amiibo. I only have like 4 amiibos. But I really want to get some more in the future. Like, I want to get a Guardian amiibo. My friend Jack has a Guardian amiibo, and it's really... I've seen screenshots of it, and it looks really cool, so I want it. Another tip, pro tip, is when you're going along like a river like this, you're gonna want to pull out your magnesis, and just in case if there are any like chests in the water, you're gonna want to get them. Ow. Whatever. Alright. There we go. So yeah, that's basically what you're gonna want to do. And this over here... Oh, we're gonna get the chest first. A lot of these early chests in this area have a lot of amber and stuff. Like, we already have 4 amber. And we haven't even done like any mining or anything like that. Now over here is just on the other side of the Temple Time. Where we could have gone is the entrance to the snowy place. And if you wanted, you could get the get a bunch of peppers over here, so you could get some warm items or cold resist items. Ooh, I'm discovered. Yeah, there we go. The longer you hold it, the more stamina it will use, and the more the larger the range. You can also use a shield just to block enemy attacks if you want, like a normal shield. Did I chop those? Oh, that had a bigger range than I thought. And another thing, don't need that. Another thing about the I don't remember. Sparrow, I thought of it and then I lost it. Oh well, whatever. Yep, can't think of what I was thinking of. Whatever. It wasn't that important. Question. We're gonna go back to the northern region, well, the snowy region rather. Get what we can there and then head back down. Okay, yeah. I'd say we're about halfway done with the plateau, maybe. Well, maybe a little more than halfway. I only got a few more areas I want to show off. Oh, that was bad. That was just bad. A bad time. You can kind of push these logs around. What the heck? Is that a bird? Sounded weird. Yeah, let's try that. Yeah, okay. I want to get over to that raft there and get Korok Leaf. Hmm. It's best if you get that big big log, so you can make it all the way across without dipping any toes in the water. So if you look at my temperature gauge down there by the minimap, as soon as I get one toe in it, it's gonna start hurting me because it's so cold. But you can also see that the orange meter is lower than the blue meter. The orange is how hot you can be, and the before you start taking damage, and the blue is how cold you can be. So gear like the warm doublet actually lower the threshold for which you can oop, crap. In which you can tolerate the an amount of cold. Yeah. Here's a new type of choo-choo, an ice choo-choo. Now these elemental choo-choos will actually jump and attack you, and they'll do like a spray of ice or a spray of fire or electricity. Actually, we'll get into those types later on. Now over here is a very good weapon cache to get, especially your first time playing through it. You can get another soldier's broadsword, which we don't need the Korok leaf anymore. The Korok leaf's alright, you can have it if you want, you can bring it around, but overall it's not worth it to carry it around. Get a nice spiked Boko bow, which is pretty good for this time. The Boko items have a pretty good attack, but they don't have as good as durability as like some of the other items. Especially like the spiked Boko stuff. Like we're gonna be getting into like there's obviously different tiers of Boko weapons. The thing with these elementals is if you wait for them to attack you, you're gonna end up using more durability on your weapon. But if you attack them first, then you're gonna use less, but they do have the chance of hurting you. So if you don't use like a spear or do a backflip real quick, or not far enough away from them, then they will actually do a little bit of damage to you. The ice ones will freeze you anyway, so it's best to avoid that, obviously. Now the fourth shrine is up here, but I'm not gonna go straight to it just yet because there's a few more things I want to show off before that. Before we finish off the Great Plateau, and you can only do it when you can only do a few of them without going to that last area. And if you hadn't noticed, in when I'm running in the snow here, it's harder to move. So it's best if you're like in a snowy area like this to go ahead and go off to like a side where you can see that it's rock, or like less snowy, which isn't always possible. Later on in the game you'll actually get some gear that's going to be very beneficial, and it'll actually let you run in the snow at normal speed, which will be nice to get. There's one of the eagles. Come on, I want to get to the top of this mountain before the episode ends, so we're gonna have to hurry. We're gonna do that next time. Yep. Like, main thing about this game is that there are a lot of like low points, like not very actiony, nothing to talk about-y points, like this point, but man, look at that view. Ah, there's the eagle. Die. Oh, I don't have the thing. Okay, let's try that again. Great. Gosh, dang. So I already at the, I was right at the top. Anyway, so this guy's up here. Gazing from here. This place get full view in the entire plateau. Use your scope. Yeah. So this is a good place. You can see most of the shrines. You can't see that one over there, but we already got that one, so it doesn't matter. But this is actually the second place where you can get the warm doublet. Hold on. Die! Yeah, got him. Hold on, gotta get it. And got it. Oh, hold on, got it. Raw bird thigh. Now that's a pretty good piece of meat, if I do say so myself. So, we're gonna go ahead and end it off, right about here. I'm gonna just try to get back to the top, because I really want to get that, kill that eagle, just to show off that you can and get some nice meat in the process. But there's actually one last thing we can get up here. I didn't really want to leave it there, because in certain areas, I don't know if this is one of the areas, but there are animals you can kill in cold areas that if you leave their meat there, it'll actually turn into frozen meat, which is interesting, but it's not really useful because you can't cook with it or anything. So on that note, we're gonna go ahead and hang out here with this old man, and just see you guys next time.